Hello everybody, my name is Colin White. I'm the president and founder of BI Research, and I'm talking to you today from the Northwest BI Summit in sunny Grants Pass in Oregon. And it is kind of sunny today.
It actually is. It's very sunny today.
Warm.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So it's a great pleasure for me because I have with me Donald Farmer, who currently is the VP of Product Management at ClickView, right? And I've known Donald for many years, and he's done a number of jobs over that year, so he's a good friend, and it's a great pleasure to welcome you to Grants Pass.
It's wonderful to be here. Yeah.
So we were talking earlier on about the concept of personas, and I can remember we first had this discussion when you worked at Microsoft. The concept of personas was we'd look at different kinds of end users, and for each kind of end user, the kind of capabilities they needed. But perhaps you could explain in your terms, one, how you define personas, and given since the Microsoft days, has that changed at all?
Right, well, I think I'm going to correct you on one thing, just to start with, which is we never use the phrase end user. And that's actually very much tied to what we do with personas. Mm-hmm. See, the idea for us is that when you look at business users and the work that they do, nowadays they're so empowered with tools and capabilities that nobody's really at the end of anything. Mm-hmm. They may have collaboration they can do and so on. So the way this comes out of personas is that we take a user, not an end user, and we model their behavior. We model the kind of things they want to do. And in fact, in some cases, we don't even model users. Some of them are people who are outside the IT organization or outside even the BI organization.
So they could be a customer?
They could be a customer. They could be somebody that you have to communicate with. Mm-hmm. By taking that more holistic view of who a user is and what their behaviors are, mm-hmm. you can make sure, first of all, that things don't kind of fall between the cracks in your different in your product definition. So a favorite example of mine is that we think of administrators in two different forms. We think of an administrator who is administrating the BI system, but we also want to understand the requirements of the network administrator, for example, mm-hmm. who may never look at the BI system, mm-hmm. but has to administer what goes on. Mm-hmm.
But having then defined, are these personas the same in different organizations?
Well, we try and find a kind of fairly generic one, because different organizations will have different emphases. So that's more what happens. We typically think of a persona, for example, one of our personas is a guy called Adam. Mm-hmm. And we always give them names, and so we've got Adam and Olaf, and we've got one called Yamamoto, and there's mm-hmm. a Rachel, and so Adam, for example, is somebody who will never really connect to data very much. They're not a technical person necessarily, mm-hmm. but they do like to share what they do, and they may create objects that will be consumed by other people, mm-hmm. but they're not actually, in the sense that they might create a visualization, mm-hmm. But they're not necessarily doing the kind of data scripting or anything like mm-hmm. that. Now, Adam, we'll model that persona. That doesn't mean that there's an Adam in every organization. Mm. He may overlap with other people's roles, but it gives us a way of thinking about those users in real terms.
So, from a ClickView viewpoint, would you say there are certain personas you would not support and certain personas you will support?
Absolutely, yeah. And there's some personas that we'll put a particular emphasis on. Mm-hmm. So, for example, we're very focused on Adam as a persona mm-hmm. In our work just now. And you could say that there's another guy we called Ernesto, who is a much more technical user. Mm. And Ernesto we're very interested in, but we're really putting our effort into the Adam persona. Mm-hmm. And this way of thinking, from our point of view, it's primarily to do with software development. Mm-hmm. This is a distinction. I think there's a danger that personas actually become used by marketing.
Yeah.
And that's really
they sell the product to these
exactly.
personas.
Yes. Yeah. Or your salesperson's out there looking for Adam in the organization in order to sell them ClickView, and that's not really the purpose of them. If you were going to do that, you'd have a different set of personas. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But are personas related to someone's skills or someone's job?
That's the interesting thing. We primarily relate them to someone's skills. Okay. Because what we find is that typically in our world, where people are self-serving, mm-hmm. to self-service business intelligence, people create their own roles very often. Yes. It's not as if somebody has a job definition which says you're this persona or you do these things, but the skills that they naturally have or that they come into the job with mm-hmm. or that they develop on the job, mm-hmm. that then starts to define their role.
So could I come to ClickView and you tell me what these personas are?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think there's 12 of them in total actually. Okay. But it's quite comprehensive.
Okay. But one last question is that if we when someone's doing a job, they need more than BI. There's other kinds of
Absolutely.
information, other knowledge. And in fact, in the good old days, we'd call it knowledge management or decision support. And so many BI tools are evolving in that area. Do you see ClickView heading the same way? It will become more than just a BI tool. It will add collaboration and sort of what we may in the past have called knowledge management.
Well, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And we think of what we do as being much broader than business intelligence. And it's not as if we're trying to kind of take over an entire space or become a
Yes,
stack vendor.
yeah.
But inevitably, I mean, collaboration is a great example. That as soon as you have made a discovery within your data, as soon as you've found something, what are you going to do? You're going to tell somebody about it,
Yeah.
and you're going to act on it. And so the role of collaboration is I think really important. But the distinction I'd like to make is that too often people build collaboration and some of these other capabilities into the BI tool, rather than thinking of how can we work with the collaboration that people are already doing.
Yeah, so BI moves to collaboration rather than collaboration to BI.
Exactly, yeah. I often say, people, and we talk about enabling collaboration sometimes, and it's kind of a misnomer because, two people sitting around a water cooler talking about this month's sales numbers, they're collaborating
They're
on
already
data.
and particularly in the mobile environment, they've already got collaborative tools.
Exactly, yeah. So there's a lot of things that you can leverage.
Great. Well, it's the kind of conversation we could spend
A long time on.
discussing.
Exactly. I'm
So
sure
thank you,
of
Donald, for spending the time with me today.
Thank you very much. It's been a
And,
great pleasure.
This is Colin White signing off from the Northwest BI Summit. Thanks for listening.